Hey, what's going on guys? It's Poly Athletics. You guys seem to really like it when I talk about bodybuilding and genetics, so today we're going to be doing just that. Although this one's going to be a bit more of a taboo subject, it's going to be about bodybuilding, genetics, and race. First of all, we got to get this out of the way for all the children in the room. This is not a video about racial superiority. Asian superiority, white superiority, black superiority, they're all cringe and stupid. Hating or undeservedly revering someone simply because of their race is just not a smart way to live life. All the races have adapted to different climates, to different cultures, and that's why there's these differences. If you want to deny these differences and say that, there's no differences between the races at all, despite the fact that they obviously look different, then I don't know, you're just denying basic microevolution and basic genetic adaptation. I don't know. Anyways, yes, I just confirmed to you, race actually does play a role in bodybuilding. That intuition you've had that you've never been allowed to audibly say, yes, it is true. And I hope this isn't still some taboo topic either, because there have actually been books, like best-selling books written on this exact topic. I mean, there's The Sports Gene by David Epstein. They talk about it a little bit in A Troublesome Inheritance by Nicholas Wade, I believe. And they talk about it in the book Taboo by John Entine. So just to get this out of the way, black people, specifically West African people, so people from Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, Ghana, a little bit in the Congo, and then of course African Americans and African Caribbeans. These are like the West Africans I'm talking about. If you look at the bodybuilders with the most Mr. Olympias, that being Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, and I believe Lee Haney, yeah, all three of them, what do they have in common? And they're all black. West Africans have a genetic advantage, or I should say, you're more likely to see genetic adaptations that are favorable to bodybuilding with people who are from West Africa. That's the accurate way to explain it. So let's list off some of the advantages, right? They have fast twitch muscle fibers due to fighting off malaria. They have the highest proportion of the RR portion of the actinin 3 gene, which is the portion that makes you very fast and explosive and lets your muscles be really big. They have the highest mutation in deficiencies of myostatin. And myostatin is the hormone that limits muscle growth, so they have less of the hormone that limits muscle growth. And they have the most sensitive androgen receptors. That's why they have a higher proportion of prostate cancer, which I talked about in my video about testosterone.
Black people also have the shortest torsos and the longest limbs. And this is because, if you think about it, right, it helps heat dissipate. Because when you have a really big torso, your body will try and use that girth to preserve the heat. But in Africa, it's like 40 degrees, extremely humid 40 degrees Celsius, extremely humid all the time. So they don't want that. Asians are the opposite in this sense, and white people are in between. This also makes it such that black people have really bad calves, because their entire leg is just like one big tendon. And that Achilles tendon, it's like a spring, right? So you can just bounce off it really easily. A lot of springy potential. This makes black people better at sprinting and jumping. Again, with whites in between and Asians at the other extreme. So yeah, that Achilles tendon gives them a tiny little room area for the calves to grow, which is why black people always have terrible calves. Black people also have more spherical muscles. And this is again because spherical muscles help you dissipate heat. And when you grow those spherical muscles, they look very round and very bulky, which helps black people have that very aesthetic look for bodybuilding. And if you're enjoying this video or think you're getting some kind of useful information, and if you're interested in more esoteric information from me, consider getting my coaching program. I tailor my program specifically for how to train according to your race. That's a joke, but anyways, the link's in the description.
As for Caucasian Europeans, which I'm sure is like most people watching this video, they also have really good genetics for bodybuilding. Not quite at the level of obviously African Americans and West Africans, I should say, but I mean, they have Jay Cutler, they have Chris Bumstead. They are not lacking too much either. White people have a decent but not great actinin 3 profile. They unfortunately have a very blocky skeletal structure. And this is because on average, white people have 3% Neanderthal DNA. Now because they have that 3% Neanderthal DNA, they can get very, very strong. Just look at all the best strongmen, look at all the best powerlifters. A lot of them are white. And because they can get very strong, they can get very big. So they might not have the best proportions, they can still get very, very big. And I mean, Chris Bumstead has very good proportions, but he's an anomaly. And yeah, I mean, the existence of Chris Bumstead shows that a lot of this stuff is very much on an average. You're not doomed to anything just because of your race, obviously. And North Africans are really good as well. They have very good bone structure. They have a decent portion of fast twitch muscle fibers. They have a great actinin 3 profile due to being close to Sub-Saharan West Africa. And they have a great actinin 3 profile. And all of this is due to mixing between Sub-Saharan Africans, East Africans, and Caucasian white people. They sort of have a mix of all of that. That's why they have, generally speaking, they have very good genetics for bodybuilding. And speaking of East Africa, let's talk about them next. East Africans don't exactly have a great build for bodybuilding. They have a skinny ectomorph build with a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers because they are just built for marathon running. And marathon running, of course, biases slow twitch muscle fibers. Their one saving grace is a good actinin 3 profile due to being close to Sub-Saharan Africa. As for Asians, they have the worst actinin 3 profile. And by Asians, I'm including Indians, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. Although compared to East Africans, they do have better myostatin deficiency and a better skeletal structure. And again, of course, there are many exceptions, right? Look at these jacked Indian bodybuilders from like the 1930s.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to do Hispanic people. I know a lot of Hispanic people are probably watching this video. Hispanic people, genetically speaking, are a mix of white and Native American. White people have really good genetics for bodybuilding, but Native Americans not so much. So on average, they're about average bodybuilding genetics.
And to finish off this video, again, these are just averages. They are not good predictors of individual genetic makeup. And this is why I never mentioned it in my shorts video. It's just such a bad predictor overall. You can't just like look at a black person and just assume that they're going to be X or Y. There's so much variation within the races that it's not worth dedicating a whole video about it in the shorts. With like, while I was talking about the best predictors, this is just one predictor, but while I was talking about the best predictors in my shorts, it just did not make the cut. There's far more differences within races than there are between races. And yeah, that'll be it for the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch y'all next time. Peace.